How do you become wise? I have people ask me that. Like, how do you get so much wisdom? You have so much knowledge. People ask me these type of questions. And I always say in response, I don't perceive myself as a wise person. I really don't. And people think that well, I don't know if this is what people think, but they're probably thinking like, oh, okay, this is his way of just trying to act humble, or just say that you don't perceive yourself as a wise person. You gotta be humble. You gotta play that part. And no, I genuinely don't look at myself like, oh man, I'm wise. I know that I have wisdom that can help people. So, but anyways, people ask this question because they want their life to be simplified. And that is exactly what wisdom will do. Wisdom simplifies life. And so here's a little analogy. Wisdom is like someone who won the lottery, right? It's like someone who won the lottery, but after they won the lottery, let's say they made millions of dollars. As time goes on, they spend all that money. This happens all the time. People win some sort of a competition, win a lottery. Even people who are professional football players or basketball players get rich from being in a sport and being on television, but end up broke anyways. Because a lot of people think that success has to do with just the amount of money that you have. But the people didn't have the wisdom on how to keep the money and grow the money. So they end up being broke. And so it's like, were they really successful? They had a lot of money, but were they really successful? Now, what wisdom will do, it could take somebody who is completely broke and help them become rich, become wealthy, healthy, good relationships, good influence, good reputation. It could take somebody who is absolutely a nobody and cause them to be exponential, cause them to be extraordinary. And so King Solomon once talked about, a lizard. A lizard could be caught in the hand, but it could still be found in king's palaces. Or another example would be a spider, uses her hands, uses her little paws. I don't know what you call a spider. Paws. And it could still be found in a king's palace. And so think about that as an analogy. A creature that can be caught in the hand, a creature that could be stomped on and killed easily, can be found in one of the most valuable places on earth. Simply because the principle is this. Life is difficult. We live in a crazy, wicked world. There's violence. There's crazy people all over the place. But wisdom will allow you to maneuver and get into places that you probably wouldn't have been there unless you had wisdom. People who are super successful, multimillionaires, billionaires, successful families, good marriages, godly people with character, leadership qualities, people who are super successful are very calculated individuals. It did not happen by accident like someone who won the lottery. But how did they become calculated individuals? Because, you have to put your money in the right place, build the right relationships, make the right friends, be in the right place at the right time. And I've heard it once said that people who work are the most lucky people. People who outwork everyone else are the most lucky people. The more you work, the luckier you become. Because you end up being in places and positions where other people are also working and hustling. And you might make connections. But people who are lazy, they're not lucky at all because you're sitting in your home playing video games, smoking a joint, whatever it is that you're doing. And so with that in mind, you don't have any opportunities. You don't get lucky because you're not in places where there's opportunities. And so if you constantly put yourself in places where there's opportunities, then you're more likely to get lucky and have a life-changing situation happen. And I've even experienced this myself working in a job. And I think it's so important to get wisdom because a way to become wise is, first off, whatever it is that you strongly believe. I realize this in my life. Whatever you strongly believe, you need to ask yourself and question, where did that belief come from? Why do I feel so strongly about said topic? Where did that belief come from? Who told me to believe this, and did they have my best interest in mind? Because a lot of things that people believe, it's not because they believe it out of their own, that's just what they want to believe. It might be something that you were raised to believe, or a church that you went to, or something that, a value that your parents taught you, that, but it's actually not something that works anymore. Or you'll have like grown men and grown women trying to teach younger people how to invest their money in homes, but they were living in a different time, and it was easier for them to have a regular job and kind of slack off in your job. As long as you're just getting your hours in, making your paycheck, you could probably buy a home and provide for your whole family. But in today, homes are more expensive, and you have a low-paying job, and so the older people are still telling you the same advice that worked for them back in their time, but it doesn't work today. And so wisdom simplifies life. And wisdom, and if you're going to take a note, take this note. Because there's a lot of wise sayings. You got Proverbs, you got Socrates, you got all these people, business people, motivational speakers, all these wise quotes, and you'll see people, they'll take a quote from somebody and they'll put it on their Instagram. That's cool. But people think that wisdom is just like just wise sayings, little symbolic things. But wisdom is rooted in truth. True wisdom is truth. And that's why, like someone like me, I'll say something on my videos and people are like, my goodness, wow, that was so like profound. And you ask them why, and you'll see in some of my podcast interviews that I've had, people say that I'm wise. And it's really because I simplified something that they thought was complicated. Right? Or if I'm talking to someone who's like religious and they're a Christian, and then they tell me that they don't have confidence, or you have someone who tells me that they have struggles with their relationship with their family or their parents, or just whatever it is. And then so with the wisdom that I have, I will try to communicate in a language that they could understand so I can simplify something. So such as I'll say somebody who's struggling with confidence. I'll say in the beginning of time, there was no such thing as a lack of confidence because fear didn't exist, because it was heaven on earth. So someone who's a religious will be like, oh my goodness, oh man, that's so true. Yeah. Your life is supposed to be like heaven on earth, right? But someone who's not religious and they're struggling with the same issue of confidence, I could say the same thing, but in a different way. I'll say, this person's like, man, I have struggles with being confident, talking to people. I feel nervous around people. I'm trying to read books and all these different things on how to overcome this confidence issue. To this person, I might say, okay, well, they're not religious, so I'm not going to quote the Bible. So I'll just say, the only way you can overcome your fear is by taking it head on. I'd be like, yeah, well, what do you mean? They'd be like, the first time I remember the first time I was on top of a cliff where there was a waterfall and people were jumping off the waterfall. And I'm sitting there for a whole hour straight trying to figure out how to jump off this cliff and asking people how they felt when they jump off and, is it scary and all these questions. Asking them how they felt about it and all these different things, it didn't help me. The only way I could overcome that fear was by jumping off into the waterfall. And then after I did it one time, all of a sudden it was just normal and I saw that it wasn't a big deal. And that applies to other areas of your life. You know, if you're afraid of talking to women, go and talk to a woman. Don't just try to read a book about it. Go and talk to a woman. And then they're like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's so deep. Yeah. You just have to just go do it. And then it's simple. But to them, it felt like it was profound. And so wisdom is rooted in truth. You know, whatever the truth about something is, that's where wisdom comes from. It's not like just wise sayings. So with that in mind, I say, question everything that you believe. Where did that belief come from? Because when you have a belief about something, your belief dictates every decision that you make in your life. If in your mind you believe that you're not a confident person, or if in your mind you think that you're dumb, right? You'll think that you'll have some sort of a psychological issue, and you won't read a book because I'm just a dumb guy. And I say this because I have people that I know who see themselves as dumb people, and you're not dumb. If you see yourself as dumb, you're blocking off your potential things that you could actually learn. If you see yourself as dumb, you don't think that there's anything that you can do to not be dumb. So this is why I say, it's like, no, you're not dumb. You're just ignorant. You don't have knowledge. You just don't know something. Read a book. Just get the knowledge. And then once you know it, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I wasn't dumb. I just didn't know. You know, I remember the first time I was trying to, my grandfather taught me how to cook pancakes. In my head, I'm like, am I smart enough to make pancakes? Once he showed me how to do it, I was no longer like thinking, oh, why was I thinking, am I smart enough? All he had to do was just teach me how to do it. And then now I know how to do it. It's a skill now. Wisdom is also a skill. And a lot of Christians think that wisdom is just biblical knowledge. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Wisdom is knowledge applied, meaning a skill. You have to know how to do it, and then when you do it, that's a skill. Such as learning how to paint a house, or learning how to install carpet, or learning how to install a roof. It requires wisdom. You have to know how to measure. You have to know how to use the different tools. These are all different skills. It's not just biblical head knowledge. You see what I'm saying? And that's in the Bible too, because King Solomon talks about wisdom, and he talks about using an axe. And if you sharpen the axe, it's easier to cut down a tree. Well, here's another principle on that. If it's easier to cut down the tree when you sharpen it, it's the same with wisdom. If you sharpen your skills in multiple areas of your life, life will become easier. Such as if you sharpen your people skills. Because people say, I'm not a people person. I'm not a people person. No. People say that they're not people persons because they're not good at how they deal with people. They lack patience. They don't like being around people. They feel nervous around people. This is why I say read a book like How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a book on psychology, and it has biblical principles on how to make friends. Once you know how to make friends, because people, you probably have a close friend in your life, and you're like, man, I love this person. This is my quote unquote my best friend. But then you also would say simultaneously, I'm not a people person. That's why I just stay close to my close friends. It's like, no. In all reality, everybody should be people persons. But they get comfortable with their close friends. And in all reality, they don't want to be nervous around other people. They want to be friendly with people. But obviously, we live in a world that, there's corrupt people. People have bad intentions and bad motives and stuff. So you kind of stick with your clique and find safety over there. But I like something Grant Cardone says. People have everything that you want. People have the money that you want. They have the products that you want. They have the services that you want. Everything that you can pretty much have in life, someone else has it. If you're gonna go buy a home, someone else has that home. If you're gonna start a business, someone else has the supplies that you can start your business, such as my business. Doing this podcast, I had to get the camera from somewhere. The camera came from a person. All the different supplies came from different people. The clothes that I'm wearing came from a person or multiple people. The microphone I have, everything comes from people, and everything that can be built, skills were required to build those things. So, wisdom can be in more than just building something, but it's also a psychological thing as well. Where if you know how people think, you will know how to interact with them. You'll know how to influence them. You'll know how to cause them to want to be your friend or even buy from you. And so, wisdom is so powerful that this is why King Solomon, he is like, in everything that you do and all you're getting, all the stuff that you're trying to get in life, get wisdom. Even if you have to go broke to get wisdom, get wisdom. I remember Grant Cardone one time. There's this show that he was on called Undercover Billionaire. And basically on this show, Grant Cardone's a billionaire. On this show, they had to put him in another city, in another state. All he had was a cell phone, a truck, and $100 to his name. And with what he had to try to build a $1 million business within 90 days. The first guy who got on this show and tried to do it, he didn't succeed. He didn't hit the $1 million mark. But the first guy who got on this show, he made a restaurant. He built a restaurant. He connected with people. He learned how to barbecue. In 90 days, they built a restaurant. And, or I don't know, they didn't build the restaurant. They rented a place out or something like that. But you see the struggle that the man had to go through. And Grant Cardone did the same thing. And he actually got a $5 million valuation on his company that he started. He started a marketing company. And that's what Grant Cardone already does. He's a marketer, a salesman. And so he took the skills that he already had, and he's like, okay, well, I know how to do this thing. So the skills that he already had started from the ground up, connected with people, found places to live and rent out, and he figured out ways to make money. He sold someone's Jeep or something like that. He did all these different things so that he could be able to pay for his own food, have a place to stay, while simultaneously making connections so that he could build a business with skills that he already had. And so this is why King Solomon's like, look, in all you're getting, get wisdom, even if you have to go broke to get it. Because if you have $1 million, like somebody who won the lottery, you can lose that $1 million. But if you have wisdom on how to make $1 million, you don't have to lose the $1 million. And even if you did, you can get it back again because you already know what it took to get there because you have the skills. If you're a musician and who's, let's say you take Justin Bieber and he goes completely broke. He still has the skills to be able to sing. And the skill is what got him to where he is. So anyways, I say all this to encourage you to get wisdom. And King Solomon teaches one of the ways that you should get wisdom is having a multitude of counselors. And so I say this especially to Christians. Be open and willing to get wisdom, not just from the Bible. Get wisdom from the Bible. It is loaded on wisdom, full of it. But the Bible's not going to teach you step by step how to build a business if you're living in America. It'll give you the principles and the laws, the things that don't fail. But it's not going to show you how to do internet marketing. It's not going to show you how to. It'll tell you how to communicate with people, like being slow to speak and slow to get angry. It'll show you how to be a professional and have good ethics and good morals and all these different things. But the Bible is more of, it's a first principles, right? It's not going to show you, who you have to go and talk to. You see what I'm saying? So get wisdom in multiple areas. of life by reading books. Because you would think like, okay, well, how do I get a multitude of counselors? How do I get people to mentor me? You know, I can't go to Mark Cuban, or I can't go to Donald Trump and ask him, hey, how did you become successful in real estate? But, you know, someone like him, he has books on real estate. Or Robert Kiyosaki. It's okay to get wisdom outside of the Bible, if you're a Christian, through different books. All right? And, you know, King Solomon, he had wisdom on the animals and the plants and different things. He didn't learn it out the Bible. I mean, maybe some of it, because some of that's in there. All right? It's all right to get wisdom. You got to get wisdom, and wisdom is not an option. People treat it like it's an option. Like, oh man, one of my friends tried to ask me, like, how much wisdom do you want? You know, I'm like, as much as I can. It's like, how healthy do you want to be? Like, as healthy as possible, right? You know, wisdom is not something that you just put off to the side as if it's an option. Wisdom makes life easy, and you know, you also got to get. I didn't mean to go on and on about this now. I was trying to end the video just now. But you can even get wisdom in your marriage or in your relationship with your wife or your spouse or your husband. You know, there's a book on it somewhere. So I say all this to encourage you to get wisdom, because it will simplify life. It'll help you to make the right decisions, and that's in the Bible. It'll help you to make the right decisions in life. It'll cause you to be able to see something bad coming before it happens. It'll show you who not to talk to and who you should be friends with. Wisdom will give you influence with people in high positions of power and authority. Oh my goodness, man. I'm still trying to end this video, but there's just so many good things, little nuggets. Like Dr. Miles Monroe, he's one of the wisest people that I would recommend that you read his books and watch his sermons online. I would say he was the wisest man of the 21st century. You know, this guy had so much influence, not just he was a pastor, but he was also a business consultant. He didn't only have influence with people who were in the church. He had influence with people who were very wealthy people in positions in government, in business, multimillionaires, billionaires. He would go and consult with people like that were in Microsoft. So all because he had knowledge and wisdom. So I highly recommend that you do it, because it will cause you to have favor with people and favor with both God and man. Get wisdom by reading books. Get wisdom by letting go of everything that you think you know. And you'll be well on your way to becoming wise. And then you'll be like, the reason why I tell people why I don't think I'm wise is because the more knowledge that you get, the more you realize that you don't know. All right? And hopefully one day you'll feel the same. God bless.